You're listening to the Hot Topix Podcast with Psycho 4081, the lovely Lady Lamb Chop, and the fabulous Felonious Feather. Let's get into it. Good day, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. To all our listeners out there, this is
It's been a while I heard you say that.
I know,
right?
Psycho 4081 here with my two co-hosts, the lovely Lady Lamb Chop.
Am I supposed to say hi now? Oh, I'm sorry. Hello.
And we have the fabulous Felonious
Hello,
Feather.
everybody. Hi.
She looks so cute today. I love polka dots.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I'm a polka dot fan.
Yeah, you
She
do
looks
look
cute
really
today.
nice today.
She always looks cute. Though.
Don't talk to me. You don't talk to me.
Your polka dots.
You mean my boobs?
Yeah. Yeah. Why are you so special?
Hey, look. So we all saw the movie Sinners.
Finally, I got
Finally?
to it.
Okay.
You
Finally.
did?
I did.
When
finally.
When did you sit?
Last week, a week
A couple
before,
weeks, yeah.
couple weeks. Okay. Finally.
So Sinners, and we're going to go over a little plot recap. So just for those out there now, let me give you a warning. If you have not seen the movie, this is
Spoiler.
There's
Yeah.
going to be some spoilers. So spoiler alert.
Yeah, it might be time for you to
Yes.
clock out.
So, all right. So apparently it's a film that confronts morality, judgment, redemption, and the gray area in between. That's the academic part of it. So it was a really good movie. Did you like it, Felonious?
I liked it, but I kind of feel like
You missed some things?
No, like it was too hyped.
Oh, okay. All the hype that it got.
Yeah,
Yes,
It's-
it was
I
more than
agree.
what I saw.
I'm
Okay.
with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you because I left out thinking I'm not sure how I feel
You
about
know,
this.
yeah, the same way, because he hyped it oh my god, the movie's coming out.
I thought it was really good. One, because not just because of what I saw, was the fact that it's a horror movie that did very well, and that's a genre.
It's a
that,
black horror movie that did well.
yes.
You have to put that
and
qualification
hardly
on there.
ever happens,
Right.
You know,
Right.
not since the great epic film Blackula. you never heard
I
of Blackula?
so thought he was going for what was the one with Peel
With who?
with Get Out? Was that it?
Get Out.
yeah,
I thought that's what he was going to say. Blackula.
Would you consider that one a horror?
Oh, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Get Out. Horror? Okay.
That was
Oh, it
that
was
wasn't
just-
horror enough for you.
Nah, not
it was
really.
just it was
So, do you
But then-
consider if it's gory, that what makes it
not
horror?
gory,
I think
no.
that was more like a drama.
Yeah,
It was a
because-
scary drama to me. Maybe that's what it was. 'cause-
No, it was just confusing. It was just like mind twisting, you
Yeah,
know?
or-
Yeah,
Like kinda-
yeah.
Or
yeah.
even science fiction.
Yeah, kind
yeah.
of.
Okay. Like a
like
psychological.
twisted. Yeah,
thriller.
kind of.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not like
Gotcha.
horror. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't expect them to say Blackula though.
Hey, you gotta see Blackula. It's a classic.
Probably something stupid.
No, it's not.
It is so bad. But back then it was everything.
Yeah.
Back then it was everything.
Yeah, because I've seen movies. He claims to be horror.
Yeah.
and then I'm like,
But
about
now
to
it's
sleep.
just like
I'm about to
yeah.
sleep. I'm like,
That's because you're a new jack, and
What?
you're used to these newer movies that have a lot of
special effects
Yeah,
and
and
3D. Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
When is the scary part supposed to come? It's like black and white, and everybody's just acting the fool. I'm like, okay.
So have you seen Psycho, the first one with Anthony Perkins?
No,
yep.
I'm not trusting you to show me any more movies no. From the past. No. The one you showed me was
The Exorcist.
The Exorcist.
And you was
Is
just
that
like,
the
I'm
one?
not even
Yeah.
scared of this. And I
Yeah,
was
I
just
was
like, oh my
tired.
God, this movie scared the
I was
life
about
out
to
of me.
sleep.
That's because you didn't. That's because you was tired. You didn't really pay attention
No,
to the movie.
it was boring.
You didn't pay attention.
It was
to the
so
movie.
boring.
And I think, like you said,
There's another one about
back then
school.
that was special effects for us.
Well, yeah.
But for you've seen like tons of improvement away along the way. But back
Wait,
then it
there
was
was another
special.
one you showed me that was about a school teacher, the black school teacher man. That
Candyman.
No, black school teacher man.
Yeah, he was teaching. He was a black man teaching white people.
Oh, To Serve with Love.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
It was
that's
just
not
good.
a horror movie.
Yeah, it's not a horror movie, but
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
was
That was good.
Yeah.
okay.
And
Yeah.
you was crying at the end.
Crying for what?
You teared up.
For what?
You mean for what? You was crying. I looked at you. You was.
Next.
All right. So Sinners. Came out this year. Obviously, still in the movies.
Yes.
Okay.
I was still in the movies.
It's directed by Ryan Coogler, and he has a nice track record of putting out these
Yeah, he
good
does.
movies. Now, I haven't seen his first big one, Fruitvale.
Talk about crying.
Yeah, I didn't see that one. So I'll
Okay,
see that.
let's say if you watch that, just be prepared to be All the emotions.
Okay.
Just put it out there. All the emotions.
Well, Sinners is a genre blending supernatural horror film set in 1932 Clarksdale, Mississippi. And probably 1982 Clarksdale, Mississippi too.
That ain't right.
So
I'm sorry, Mississippi.
the story follows twin brothers Elijah Smoke and Elias Stack Moore, portrayed both by Michael B. Jordan, which is I thought was great that he could
He
play
did a
both
good
roles.
job.
Yeah. They were former soldiers and bootleggers who returned from Chicago to their hometown to open a juke joint. And if anybody doesn't know what a juke joint is, it's basically a nice nightclub or whatever that's unlicensed or unregulated,
And it usually plays the blues or some kind of southern
And they still have juke joints.
music. I wonder where the name came from. We have to look that up.
Look it up. Look her upper.
You're our social media. You're our media person.
Well, their adventure takes a dark turn when they encounter a vampire clan led by Remick, played by Jack O'Connell, threatening their community, and horror, Southern Gothic, and I just messed up the whole thing, forcing them to confront both supernatural and societal evils. And that's the big thing about the movie.
Right.
The film intertwines elements of horror, Southern Gothic, and historical drama, using vampirism as a metaphor for racial exploitation and cultural appropriation during the Jim Crow era. Now, I didn't pick that up, so that's good that they mentioned it. I'm gonna talk about that.
I kind of did.
You did?
We'll talk about it.
Okay. It delves into themes of power, legacy, and survival, highlighting the resilience of Black communities in the face of systemic oppression. So
That continues today.
yes. Now the tangible stuff is it received critical acclaim for innovative storytelling and cultural depth, grossing over $350 million.
That's big.
Worldwide.
And it's still, it's still going
strong, right?
Right.
So the soundtrack was produced by Ludwig Göransson, I guess a Norwegian guy.
Good try.
And featuring artists like Brittany Howard and Buddy Guy.
Right.
They were lauded for its authentic representation of the Delta blues music, which I do love blues. I love all types of blues. I do.
Really, I'm not.
And I'm more of a blues lover when it's live.
Okay.
Anyway, let's get into the discussion. Now, he said he's not going to do a sequel.
Okay.
So it's because it stands on its own.
It pretty much does. And what would he do? Well, I guess
because there's some open-ended things.
It is some open-ended things because who was that? Stack?
Yes.
Stack was the one that
Stack
was vampire that turned into a vampire.
Yes.
Okay, so Stack and Rose, was that her name?
Rose, yes.
Okay, so they could.
No, what was her name?
Grace. No, Grace was the Asian lady.
Oh, I don't know. All right, Stack and a white girl.
That's culturally appropriate.
No, but that's
sensitive
because it's easy. There is no main character in there except for one white girl. Okay.
So, but they could do their story.
That's what he said.
He did say that.
Yeah.
Or what's she doing here? And that's part of that thing that you were saying you didn't get the racial thing. Mm-hmm. That was a whole part of it because the Black woman was like, why she's trouble. The Black woman told him in the beginning.
It was her fault that it all happened though.
What the
white girl?
The white girl. Okay. So you and I talked about that, right? And we talked about the underlying themes.
Right.
So
that was an underlying thing. Mm-hmm.
All right. So what are the central sins? It's called Sinners. What are the central sins that's depicted in the movie?
I was just saying, before you came in, I was like, why is it called Sinners? And I guess because I'm going to hell because I wasn't sure about the sins that was happening. You know what I'm saying? But I guess with the blues was a sin back then. You weren't supposed to play the blues and illegal drinking, I guess.
Drinking.
Okay.
So the preacher.
Yes, that's where he came from.
He lined it up.
Okay.
Rubbing all on against each other, taking your money and going out to rub bodies and listen to that devil music, which every episode, every movie they seem to have devil music. Going from the old ones to the news. And let's see. So you have
and fornication,
yes,
adultery,
yes,
okay,
definitely. All right, so there was definitely adultery in there,
right?
There was fornication. Mm-hmm. That was drinking,
right?
Not just drinking, but overindulgence.
Okay.
That's
okay.
That's
right, because you can, drink according to the Bible. You can.
And then there was, some of the sins that we talked about. It was fornication,
adultery,
overindulgence of alcohol, or I guess substance abuse.
The devil music.
Right. And what do you call it when?
And they were doing illegal activities because bootlegging was illegal.
Illegal. Yeah. So they also had the gambling.
Oh, right.
And they had the lust.
Okay.
Lust. So what are the 7 deadly sins?
I don't know. Maybe.
All right.
I don't know.
I don't know all of them.
So I think those were the central sins in the movie, because they all tied together. Because when you go to a juke joint, you have
all of those conversion into one place.
Now you also had I don't know what's the sin of. Oh, it was, you said adultery, but when the vampires came, did you have like something like
killing?
Well, yeah, wait, murder.
Right. So, don't forget that part.
I don't say some type of bias. I don't know if that's technically a sin.
What do you mean?
Because they didn't let the white folks in. That's one. Right.
Okay.
And of course, it was in Jim Crow, Mississippi.
Right.
That was a central theme as well. So I don't know if you would consider that's one of the sins. But that was
maybe not.
That was central in that.
Right.
Right.
Maybe not.
Now, what did you think about the film?
So, like I said, I walked out thinking, I'm not sure if I like this or not. And I think, like you said, it was just overly hyped. Okay. But aside from that, Michael B. Jordan is one of my favorites, and I've been following him since his days are All My Children. Okay. So I thought he was really good distinguishing the two brothers.
Okay.
Because they really did have different personalities.
Correct.
Yeah. So I thought he was really good in that sense. And I also like the, what would you call her? I don't want to say voodoo woman, but she was, I'm not sure.
Voodoo woman.
Is that what you would call her? Because they weren't in Louisiana, so I wasn't sure if that's what you call her. I know it's another term. I just don't know what it is. Because she's not a shaman. So I know it's another term, but I liked her too.
Witch is also voodoo.
Yeah,
witch,
they would
healer.
Yeah. So I liked her too.
So all right, I'm gonna separate it. So we talking about the content of the movie versus the making of.
Oh, it was another part. I'm sorry. I did like the musical history.
Okay.
How they showed you that all of this music started in this place. So I did like that part. Okay.
So as far as the technical aspect of the movie, we were talking about the soundtrack, the color.
Yes.
The costumes.
Good.
I thought that was really very good. The acting I thought was really good too.
Yes, it was.
And there was certain things in there that I picked up that was funny. Like, so what's the guy's name?
Delroy Lindo.
No, the fat guy.
Oh, what is his name
in the movie?
Cornbread.
Cornbread.
That's not his actual acting name.
Yeah, right. So when Cornbread goes out to relieve himself, right, and he starts hearing the stuff in the background, and you noticeably can hear him peeing.
Right.
So every time the noise came out, he was like, "Cut it off." And then back to pee. I was like, okay, that was pretty good. How they threw it in with the sounds and stuff like that. And I do love the soundtrack.
It definitely matched the movie perfectly. Yeah. It really did. I'm not a fan of those movies that put in modern day songs, and it's
old.
And it's just like my brain disconnects and I can't get it. So it definitely matched the movie.
Now they did put in modern day song when they was in the juke joint. Because they were showing you how it transitions through time and it brings it together. So it had a little bit of that in there. But I thought what the funny part was about it when the Chinese guy was out there doing his little karate things, whatever. But I thought that was pretty funny. But,
they did have a little bit of levity. You know, there were places that you also explained to me, because I was like, why is this Asian family in this movie.
Okay.
But then we talked about it, and you were saying that they were ostracized too.
Right.
And they could probably only set up shop in the black neighborhoods,
Right.
which has created this long history of them still being in mostly African American neighborhoods.
So you go to the African American neighborhoods, and you'll see the hair places, the beauty supplies, the liquor store,
the Chinese food, even sub shops, now. So that I was just like,
But what's the difference between a white person and a Chinese person, though?
As far as what?
They're both white.
No, Chinese. Well, when you talk about color, because I know you're new to this because you're not in this crazy world called America, right? So there's black, which is people of African descent, and then there's white people from European descent. Then they called them yellow, which wasn't really good, but the yellow people were Asians.
Yeah.
So then, even then, that doesn't match. But they're total different cultures. Europeans, when they came here, was about Europeans, and even not even all Europeans, because the Italians was.
Wait, so you're saying even white people discriminate against
other
Asians?
white people? They discriminated against other white people.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
From the beginning, when they left Europe, the English didn't like the Irish didn't like the English, the Germans didn't like the French. So when they came here, it was the same thing until later on they found somebody else they can shift that to. So now it became white people instead of the different tribes of Europe. So it was white people against the black people and the Chinaman they called it.
So I say that because the movie, the black guys, the brothers were friends. They allowed the Chinese people come in,
right?
Yes.
But they said white girl, white people no. So that's why I'm like, okay.
So in the history of this country, all right. So what happened even in UK where they brought in enslaved Africans, right, to build this country to its economic power that it is today. They did the same thing with the Chinese. They brought the Chinese in to help build the railroads and stuff like that. And then when it all came down to being or benefiting from the rewards of your labor, they were not. That's the history of this country. So it's the same thing with the African descendants, the Chinese. Oh, I'm not gonna say Chinese, but the Asians, the Latinos.
Yeah.
They come in, work in the farming, the agricultural business, right? And then the first thing they want to do now, especially today, boot them out. Right. So that's been the theme of this country from its beginning. So then you'll have those groups that actually come together because they have each other. They're not going to discriminate against each other because they got one common enemy, basically.
Right. That is it. That's all they had.
Yeah. And that was shown, like you said, throughout the movie.
Yeah.
So now is the film asking us to judge the characters or ourselves?
Well, I don't see any judging in the movie. I can't really say.
Well, all right. So basically, they give you a personality. They have the KKK guy, right? That's the guy in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
That's judgment. You're judging racism or racists from the movie. You have the juke joint patrons. You're judging them as the non-church or the religious people. Right. You have the brothers in their relationship with their father, because they told a story about that. You have the guy that you're judging, the funny guy, Delroy
Lindo.
Where his character, when all he cared was getting money,
right,
to get
and
drunk.
his drink,
yeah.
And you had the brothers themselves who were had mob connections up from Chicago and shot a guy in the ass. So is a lot of things like that, and then even something as small as when they were in the cotton fields, and the person was asking him, what you got planned for the day?
Right.
And they was asking him questions. He was like, basically mind your business.
Yeah, I'm just getting my quota and I'm out of here.
Right. So, and that was because he didn't want. Well, there's a tendency for people to tell your business,
right,
and then talk about you. So it was a lot of that.
Right.
He brought up basically all the real societal ills.
And that's the thing. Like, I feel like we can judge society based on this film, but I guess if you're judging society, then you're judging people,
and you're judging
yourself,
because you're going to identify
with somebody in that movie.
You can identify, or even was the woman that was always in the mirror.
There's nobody in the mirror.
Go
sleep.
Okay.
What is he talking about? I'm just like, oh my gosh. I'm like, wait a minute. Did I miss that part? I didn't go to the bathroom. Did I miss that part? What is wrong with you? Why are you so special?
All right. Remember all the characters since we're talking about the sins and the different things in judging.
So did each character represent a sin?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead. Look at you.
So, which character represented pride?
Stack.
Okay.
Stack. You know, because he was always dressed to the nines, and that's a prideful thing to me. We all want to look good. Well, most of us.
More than others. Some prefer the homeless route, you know.
But I could see some people saying that that's prideful, especially white people felt like that was prideful for African Americans to think that they could look like them and, you know, dress like them, and that they felt like that was a level of you being an uppity Negro.
Okay. When
you dressed appropriately.
Okay.
Well, appropriately for them, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
So I would say he was prideful.
How about well, this is an easy one. How about lust?
Stack.
Well, wait.
He just like
Stack. Right.
But then
Stack.
he just like the white girl though.
Oh no, I think he was laying it down all over town.
Remember, because he actually cut her loose. He was telling her to, you know, but yes. All right. So we got, and he's telling the what's the guy's name, the main character?
The little boy.
Yeah.
Preacher's son. Yeah.
Telling him, you know,
how to give oral sex.
Yes. So that was the lust part, and he tried it out, and you know it worked for him. And then also Stack was the one, because he was lustful, goes into the back, and boom, next thing you know,
he a vampire.
Yeah. So yeah, that's lust. Also, you can talk about the woman that was singing, lustful, or hers could be adultery, because she was married.
So kind of both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What woman are we talking about again?
The one that he met at the train station, that he invited to the juke joint.
Yeah, she's like, "Are you gonna come
singing?
And sing?"
Okay. And then let's see, greed.
Stack. And the other guy that was always drinking.
Also smoke, because remember he didn't want to. He didn't want to.
The two brothers.
Yeah. He didn't want the to take the wooden nickels. He's like, we gotta make this money.
Right.
You know. Also greed was the girl, the white girl. I'm sorry, I don't know her name, but
I don't know why I wanted to be Rose.
She went out there to pick the people up, the vampires, because they showed her some. She wanted to bring them in because
the gold coins.
The gold, right? So that changed everything. The money was like, oh, money, and I guess she was looking out for them, but still, that's still greed. You also have the Asian folks with the store. It was like, oh, you got the money. You know, you could say that's greed or commerce.
But I would
her name was Mary.
Everything we can't say everything is greed, because everybody's trying to
make a dollar.
Yeah.
So I guess greed would be when you have the overindulgence, where you're doing things that is not good.
Yeah.
To chase the money. So that would be both brothers.
They were chasing them. The Asian couple was chasing the money too, because they were just like, we'll paint your sign. You know, she did a whole haggling thing with him about painting the sign. And they had a store for the white people across the street from the store for the black people. So they were absolutely chasing that dollar. I
think that was good sense though.
That was good sense. That's probably the only way they didn't get their store burned down.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. And then let's see. We got pride, lust, greed, envy.
Ooh.
Any envy in there?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Even the preacher's son was envious of the two brothers, though.
Well, actually, he was. You
think he was envious, or you think he was just admiring them?
Okay, yeah. But some of the envy would be with, you said Mary? Mary was, that's jealousy.
Just jealousy,
guess, you know, whatever.
She definitely had some jealousy.
But wasn't the piano player a little envious of
Stack and Smoke? No,
not of the preacher's kid a little bit when he when he played, and they got past that.
Yes.
So they resolved it. Yeah, I think that's the only thing about the envy thing that I could think of.
Okay.
The what was Smoke's woman's name?
Pearline.
Okay. Should look these up.
No, Annie.
Annie.
She was Annie. Mm-hmm.
Oh, Annie, are you okay?
Annie was not okay.
She wasn't. What was some other the sins? Sloth. That's laziness, right?
Yeah. Well, none of them people lazy.
You do that every day.
That's retirement. That's called retirement.
You commit that every day.
I don't feel like anybody was lazy.
Represent? Okay, so
they was out there picking cotton. Even Cornbread was picking cotton.
Yeah,
you know, true. He was working. And look, even his wife was just like, go back to money. You know, she was like, going out of here. She didn't want any parts. But then when he started talking money, she was like, how much money?
How much you paying? Right,
yeah,
right,
you know, so. But then you have to think of their socio-economic life.
Right. And, it was
and they were just trying to survive, man.
That's what I'm
barely
saying.
Anything at the time.
Yeah.
Which is kind of still, shown today.
Yes.
So, we should have just picked up the character and say, well, what did they represent?
Yeah. Oh, that's okay. We did it backwards.
Okay.
That's okay.
Okay. Now, in the overall movie, was there a theme of justice being served or vengeance?
So before that, I'm trying to understand how the two survived.
Which two?
The two, the
Stark
and the girl.
Oh, did you miss that? They
I know. They didn't burn them down and stuff like that, but.
So Mary ran
right
at the end.
Yeah.
Right. And then Stack
Smoke
was spared.
Right.
Oh,
yeah. Smoke didn't kill Stack.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he said he would spare the boy. He wouldn't mess with Sammy. That's his name,
right.
Sammy.
Yeah.
He wouldn't mess with Sammy.
That was the deal.
Yeah, that was the deal. So that's how they got away.
All right.
So now what are you saying? Vengeance or revenge?
Justice.
Justice.
Yes.
Whew. Okay, this is like probably unpopular, but I felt like he got justice with killing the Klansmen. You know, I don't preach killing anybody, right?
Okay.
But them MFers probably had killed a whole like you said, that was a slaughterhouse.
Right.
Yeah.
So they had probably killed a whole bunch of people before they got to them. So I feel like they got their just desserts.
So from the beginning.
So what was the plot? Like they were going to come back to kill everybody.
And that's what I thought too. They were going to kill everybody, but you said they were only going to kill Stack and Smoke.
Well, they were going to come back and kill whoever was
still at the place,
so they can
sell the place.
Right. And that's what has been happening. That's why when he was in the floor, they asked him. They said, "Well, hey, did y'all clean the floors or what's this on the floor?"
Right.
Right. So they would take the money and then
kill
recycle it over again. So overall, there was revenge from the beginning to the end, but also that could be justice served too.
That's what I said. I felt like that was justice served. I felt like they got what they should have gotten because they have done that probably years and years and years and years and killed numerous people that way,
right? And
took all their money.
So, and the story about the voodoo lady, and meaning they had a child that died.
Right. Yes.
And whatever.
And that's a little little subplot also, because you got to figure what was it the whole dynamics between a relationship breaking down because of loss of a child. So there's emotional content in there as well.
But it was clear that they loved each other.
Yeah, but at first I didn't even understand what the loss was about.
Oh,
at the beginning,
right?
Yes, I knew they lost somebody, but I couldn't tell if it was their father, if it was the boy's father,
right?
Or I just knew there was something else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they lost the father too, but I'm not sure that would qualify as loss.
Who lost the father?
The twins. The twins killed their father, right?
Yeah.
And now, that's one thing I think is a little bit unclear, because one of them lied. So he lied about the guitar, and he said he got knocked unconscious, and the other
brother did the kill.
Right.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's actually what happened. I think there's a little bit ambiguity in that. So I don't know. What do you think? Or as is?
I think they can't pick all the plots. You know, I think they wanted to give some back history of how they operate as a team, because they were a team
right from the beginning.
From the beginning. So I think that they wanted to give that how they operated as a team. And then you know, you were talking about how when you were explaining how America has worked, but at some point, English people didn't want the Italian people coming.
Right.
They didn't want Jewish people coming, so they were ostracized too. But like you said, at some point they figured it all out. It's like, hey, if we stick together against these people over here, then we'll be better. So
justice, I think definitely justice was served, and there was some plots of vengeance. Now the funny part.
So what do you mean the plots of vengeance? What was the plot of vengeance?
The vengeance was at the end where he started shooting.
And that's why I felt like that was justice served. So it's both.
Yeah.
Okay, two things could be true.
Because they did survive all of that at the end. So it really, you know, he was getting vengeance for them trying to set them up.
Right.
And also, Remick.
Would you say the head vampire?
Yeah, he didn't. Did he serve justice?
In what sense?
In what sense? When he said he was going after the old Klansman.
Oh,
right. He said we're going to go after that Klansman too,
right?
And bring everybody into the happy family.
But that was only if they came with him. Right. If everybody at the juke joint came with him.
Well, I think they were going to do that anyway.
Okay.
But they was just trying to get
more people.
Sammy.
Okay. They were trying to get Sammy. Okay,
yes.
And that's what I asked you. So let's talk about that.
Okay.
Why were they after Sammy?
Okay.
What was it about him?
In the beginning, you remember that they was telling you the stories about the griots and all the different people from the Native American, the Choctaw, and that they played music, and it brought together dimensions, brought together people from other dimensions or whatever.
Gotcha.
So he wanted to bring Sammy to bring in, I guess, the spirits of his kindred spirits. So
through the music.
Through his music.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So, and explain the Native Americans, because the guy was just like, ain't no Native Americans been around here since blah, blah, blah. So I was just like, did they see that man smoking when he knocked on the door?
Like he was born in.
Right. Like, didn't they see that part?
And so it also felt like maybe he was enslaved kind of.
Okay, so they felt like the Native Americans had done something to him.
Yes, exactly. So.
And why did they say they had to get gone?
So going back to
because it was almost time it was almost sundown or sunset for them to turn for the guy to turn and become a vampire.
Okay. What is going on?
I'm about to mute you. Hey, so all right, we have we have 3 guests that chimed in, and we're gonna you guys, you can unmute yourself if there's no noise in the background, and we'll get into the question part. So we're basically talking about the sinful part, and then was it justice or was it vengeance when it comes to the movie? What was those underlying themes? Was justice served, or was it just about vengeance? So that's what we're talking here.
I think the underlying theme for me is that this shit is still
going on,
happening. Like some of this stuff with the racism and not the vampires, not the vampires. Well, it depends on who you believe, but not the vampires. But that underlying racism and separatism and all the isms are still happening.
Okay. So overall, you think justice was served in the movie? Mm-hmm. What say you, Thelonious? Was justice served in the movie?
I would say yeah.
You'll say yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think so too. Does the film portray any institution as morally superior? But when I say institution, I mean church, the state, meaning the country, the government, or family. You know?
I don't know.
I'm gonna say definitely the church, because basically everything was based off of what the church deemed as moral. Okay. Right? The singing in the juke joint, the drinking, the smoking, the adultery, right? Okay. Anthony want to chime in?
Oh, me? How you doing?
Hi.
Good. I would say the church was like a form of outlet.
Okay.
For our people. It gave us a sense of hope Even though we go from Monday through Saturday, we go through hell, but the church was our outlet. It was like the promised land.
Okay.
Well, that's how some people felt like the juke joint was their thing.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So.
Okay.
So you're asking which one?
What did they feel it was in the film? Did it seem like the church or even the juke joint was morally superior? When you talk about morals, I think the church with the preacher said who sets
morals, right? The church is who sets the morals, right? So if you're talking about superiority, you're right. It would be the church.
Okay. Definitely couldn't have been the state because that was what, Jim Crow era.
Yeah.
You know.
Jim Crow, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and obviously the role that religion and the moral code played a lot in this movie. Matter of fact, from the beginning, because they said, if you keep when you keep playing with the devil,
you keep dancing with the devil.
One day you
invite him home.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. And just so happens,
he did invite him.
He did invite him home.
Now, all right, as opposed to today, how do you think that manifests today? Playing with the devil and then inviting him home. Ooh. Same or totally different?
Same.
Yeah.
Okay. In the words of what? Like say, and I don't think it could be music today maybe, but
it is always somebody who is going to put sin on music.
Right.
Always. You know, we had a whole congressional thing about metal music killing kids, kids killing themselves because they listen to heavy metal, and the whole thing with rap music. So it's always going to be a certain segment of people putting sin on music. Okay. Always. Forever and ever.
So in today's society, could that be playing with the devil, meaning could that be substance abuse?
Could be.
And then you're inviting that back into your home?
Could be.
Like even back then you had people, especially men, going out there drinking and carrying on, and then come back and beat the wife and things of that nature.
Or have a whole family across town.
Yeah, my great grandfather had that too.
Yeah, yeah, we got one
so
too.
Ideally, they say like drinking, going to bars always has consequences.
Has consequences.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it has consequences.
Absolutely.
So that's absolutely.
Well, that part I disagree with.
What?
Doing it every day,
yeah.
And all of that.
So I guess it's the overindulgence.
Yes.
Right.
It has consequences.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So. So all right, when we talked about the church in symbolism, there's a lot of symbolism.
Oh, there was a lot of
symbolism. And we'll get to that last one that I talked about.
Okay.
But now, redemption. Right? Was there any possible redemption for anybody in there, or was it saying that everybody was damned?
I'll say redemption for what's the other brother? The second one, the one that died.
Stack.
Yeah.
No.
Smoke. He used to say he was redeemed.
I guess because at the end of the day, he was reunited with his wife and his child.
Okay, I can see that. But he killed people.
Yeah, he did. But he killed people for
war.
Good
cause.
Oh, right. And they was going to kill him.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess, I can see that. Okay, so there was some redemption in there. Who else gained redemption?
The boy.
Sammy?
Yeah.
Sammy, okay. That was only 5 people left. And nobody else left. I mean, that's not funny, but, it was. It was only people left.
Yeah, you're right.
Seriously,
All right, so there was a lot of...
Can I chime in?
Absolutely.
For Sammy, the redemption was, I would say no, because the fact is when he came into the church with the piece of guitar left in his hand, and he still made a decision to go back out into the world.
True.
Right. True. So all of that would happen, all the stuff that happened, and his father gave him that warning about bringing the devil home, and he returned to the church, and he had that opportunity
the devil in his hand
to drop that guitar.
Yeah, but he didn't.
So he didn't get redemption because he went back to the same.
Correct.
I think that was the only move for him.
The only move?
I felt like that's the only card he could have played. He could not have stayed in that town because they were going to keep coming for him. Right. Well, then again, no, because they made a deal with Stack for them to not harm him. But I felt like he had already outgrown that town. He had already outgrown that church. The minute he started playing that guitar, that was he had to go. But Smoke was just like, you ain't never coming back here. He saw it. I think he saw it. You know, he's just like, you ain't doing this anymore. You never coming back here. Right. You need to do A, B, C, and D. So I think that was the only move he had left.
What I see your face, Anthony.
I'm thinking, okay, you know, when near the end after the first set of credits, and when Stack came back in, and he said, you know, we made a vow not to touch you.
Right.
But if you notice, all three did not cast a reflection in the mirror.
I did not notice.
Oh, okay, but you got me on that one.
Yeah, I did not notice that.
Well, even Sammy
didn't cast a reflection either.
You know, I sort of focused on that, but I missed that part.
Yeah, I did not.
Oh, now I'm gonna have to see it for the fourth time.
Oh man, I enjoyed it to the utmost, but yeah.
You know,
wait a minute, Brian. You saw it 4 times.
I saw it 3.
I'm just trying to figure out how that happened, because he wasn't bitten.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Who?
He sold his soul to the devil.
Sammy.
Oh, okay. Okay, to play
to play the guitar the way that he did.
So what I didn't know, there was an actual musician that
Robert Johnson.
Yeah.
Yes. That's
exactly who it is.
That they're modeling this after. Back then they were saying that he I guess because he played so well and he had the success that he actually sold himself to the devil. Okay. Okay, so that's the all right.
And I kept asking, like, the whole time this thing was going on, I kept asking myself, are parts of this story true? Like, I feel like parts of this story could have possibly been true. And maybe it wasn't the vampires that came for them. Maybe it was the Klansmen or something else.
So
you know what I'm saying?
Vampires represented something as well. And that's why I like his movies, Ryan Coogler. It is so many things that you can miss, even when you talk about Black Panther.
Right.
You know, little things that you miss. So, and I know every part of that movie represented something. So
I mean, maybe the vampires were society coming for them.
Could be. But all right.
The white society.
The white society? Okay. So we're going to get into the villain part, because this is this is going to be the fun part. And I want to know hear your different opinions, because I know I'm going to have a different opinion on this one. So all right. Now, did religion serve as some sort of salvation or control, as displayed in the movie?
Talk about a real life dilemma.
Yeah.
Talk about a current dilemma. I guess it depends on who you are.
Okay.
I'll say that.
Okay.
I'm going to take the Switzerland
you
answer.
Say both.
Right. I'm going to take the Switzerland answer, because for the father, it was salvation. But for the son, it wasn't.
It was control for him. Okay.
Right. It wasn't. Yeah.
Okay. And what about the twins, Smoke and Stack?
I'm not sure. Did they have religion?
They totally, the family itself was,
Split.
religious, but they left that boat a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I guess they looked at it as control as well. Then what was it? Salvation. That's really the only part of that they looked at the Church of Salvation was the father.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So what we call the other woman? The other woman, her powers and stuff.
Which one?
Annie.
Smoke's wife.
Yeah, Smoke's wife.
Oh.
Yeah, I could not think of the name. I know it's a name, and I don't want to say she voodoo, because that's a different thing.
I think we could settle on voodoo.
Okay.
I mean, because that was actually a religion from Africa. They called this voodoo. I think it was called voodoo at whatever, how things get changed over here. But she represented some things too. She represented redemption. Just in her relationship with him.
Right.
They broke up, and she gave him the, what do you call that thing that she had around his neck?
Oh, I forgot what she called it.
I call it Lucky Charm.
Lucky Charm. Okay. We'll go with that one. The Lucky Charm that she said,
protected him.
And she couldn't protect everybody. Obviously, he said, well, what did it do for our son?
I thought it was a daughter.
Was it a daughter?
Their child.
Their child.
Okay, so
Yeah, well, yeah, but that's the whole question of God too, because God is supposed to be salvation, but He ain't saved them slaves. He didn't save them Jews. So people all the time are just saying they question that. So that's the same thing. He was questioning, if you believe so highly in this God, why didn't He save us? Right. Why didn't He save our child?
Right. And I'm not sure. I can't remember if He actually mentioned that. Because usually when you have these type of movies, they'll bring that sort of element in there some sort of way. Why me, or
right?
Why me, God?
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess that depends on how you look at it and your person.
Yeah, and who you are in this film. Because for the preacher, it was everything.
Now, are the sinners the ones who are actually
everybody
confessing, or the ones who are judging?
Everybody was sinners in that movie. Everybody
was a sinner.
Everybody.
But all right, so who was doing the judging?
As far as what do you mean? Who's saying that you're sinning?
Yeah, like so there's an element of judgment. Like I'm judging you for your behavior. I'm judging you for all these different things. Who represented the element of judging?
The preacher.
Yeah,
the preacher.
The preacher.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The father.
The father. Right? Yeah.
Okay. Then for what was it? We talked about judging. Well, the sinners. You said everybody was a sinner.
Mm-hmm. I felt like everybody was.
Everybody was a sinner?
For the most part.
Yeah. Who, because when we broke it down, there was greed. Everybody had a little bit of that. There was this. Everybody had a little bit of that. Maybe Grace and her husband didn't have lust, but they loved each other. So they so everybody had a little bit.
Yeah, I think the Asian people didn't have. Oh, there might have been greed.
Yeah. That's what we were saying. They had money. They were looking out for that coin too.
Okay. I could swing with that. Now there's the fun part.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
Who was the real villain in this movie?
Grace.
The white girl?
No, she was the Asian girl.
Grace,
just let her in.
The
Just
white
let her
woman?
in.
That's what I'm
Yes.
She's the Asian lady.
Oh,
Grace was the Asian lady.
Okay, so why would you say?
No, why?
Because she was the one that's like, just let him in. Just let him in. Like, they might have been able to survive till the morning.
Okay.
And the white woman was.
The white woman? Okay.
Yeah, because the white man is the devil. and that was, man, she caused everything.
Right. Okay.
That's what I said.
She thought that she could talk to her fellow devils.
Exactly.
She ended up becoming a devil herself.
Yeah, and it came in.
Y'all came
hard. They used her to come in.
Okay.
Y'all came hard.
So let's go back to Grace real quick. So you said Grace because she kicked it off.
She invited them in.
Right.
She was the one that said, just let him in. Just let him in. I want my husband.
Okay. When her husband turned.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Just let him in.
What was the girl's name? Mary.
All
right. So Pastor Dirty says Mary because she was the. He said the theme was the white people being the devil, and she wanted to thought she could connect with that element,
right?
And she got caught up and became such. Right. Okay, she also was let in,
right,
to the black folks in the community and whatever, and started knocking down people. Okay, so that's could be a villain. Thelonious, who did you say is the villain or a villain
in the movie?
Yeah. I mean, you got plenty to choose from.
Yeah, you definitely got.
I don't want to say the brothers, but
well, could they be considered a villain?
Yeah, because they initiated all of that. So
with having a juke joint,
okay, and being uppity Negroes,
right?
But the juke joint was our outlet. It was
I agree. Yeah,
for us to be ourselves.
Right.
Yep.
If anything, I would say, it was the white people. You had the KKK involved.
The KKK. Yep.
Okay. I noticed one thing though.
But the KKK came until the end though.
No, they were there in the beginning.
At the beginning, but they didn't cause any troubles or whatever.
They have been causing trouble all along.
No,
so wait a minute.
For that particular incident.
Well, let me add this in here. In the beginning, you remember when Remick went to that house, he saw the KKK robe in there, right? So they were planning on doing something anyway.
Yeah.
So and he told them that. He said, "Well, yeah, I got such and such." He could read their mind,
right?
Whatever.
Right.
So you had that, and then you had where he sold them the mill, knowing that they was gonna come back and kill him, and then do it all over again.
Right. But I'm saying they didn't get the opportunity to even do that because stuff already happened.
But
you get what I'm saying?
they kind of initiated things too.
Right.
How?
Because they could have not sold it to him.
Or they could have not let that guy in the house.
Right.
Because of their greed. One. He showed them the gold.
The white. Oh, okay.
The white couple.
Okay,
the white
that's
couple
what
in the
saying.
beginning.
Oh, okay.
The white
Yeah.
couple
Yeah.
And you know the Choctaw Indians were coming to
grab to help.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
And grab the guy.
But because you didn't look like me,
right,
I was not gonna pay attention to you.
But no, I don't think that was the case though. But I feel like they felt like the guy was in distress. You know.
Because he was white in distress.
Oh, they didn't care because they weren't going to let him in.
Initially they weren't.
They were not going to.
They were only going to let him in because he had gold.
Right.
Or he showed them the gold.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Right. And then once he saw their robes, he was like, "Oh, I got him.
Right.
I got him now."
Those are the greedy ones. Then.
Okay, so
right.
but I did notice though. This is the one thing nobody said. Remick.
No.
The vampire.
No, I did not know his name the entire time until I Googled Sinners Cast.
Right. Nobody said that Remick was the actual villain of the movie.
Oh, I thought you were saying you didn't. Was he though?
Okay.
Well, I guess he.
So here's what I'm saying. I'm going to say no.
Okay.
And for two reasons. Well, let me say opposite reasons. Remick, his whole thing was. Now remember, he said he saw the robe. Right.
Right.
Oh, he said, "I'm gonna get them."
Right.
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 He also said after all that was done, after he got Sammy and the rest of them, they're gonna go and get the clan leader.
Right.
Right. So his whole point was everybody who I killed or brought back to life or gave everlasting life or whatever, they were happy. They were singing. They were dancing. There was no racism. There was no bias. And he was like, well, we can make this world a better place.
He did say that.
So technically, is he really the villain or a villain, even though he did kill people?
Technically he didn't kill anybody.
Well,
he turned them.
He turned them. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Pastor Dirty, what's going on?
I'm just saying. I mean, if he's turning people, and hey man, it's whatever. Y'all going way too deep for me. My whole idea is if he's the guy out there turning people. I mean, it's in the whole vampire world. Everything is supposed to be like demonistic, if that's a word, right? So if he's turning regular people into demons, then you take away their choices of redemption or being a bad person. So if you are stealing someone's choice, I think that makes you evil. I mean, and I think that makes you the villain. Because once you're a vampire, you're going to do what vampires do.
Right.
And you're going to eat people, suck
and create
their
new
blood,
vampires.
and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And the thing about the church aspect of it all is the choice. You have the choice. But once you become a vampire, there is no choice.
So Anthony said the real villain is the love of money.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say because I feel like the vampire would have not gone into their home if because they were greedy. They wanted the money, the coin, and they let him in. Those are the first people he turned. The girl also came out because they had money to talk to them, and then she got turned. So it started from
always money.
Yes,
the love of money.
So that I feel like turning them was like retribution. For whatever, for the greed,
for their sin.
You get what I'm saying? Sin. So that's what I feel.
And Stack and Smoke came to town to make money.
So if those people already said, "Oh, okay, yes, someone is here. He came, blah blah blah," none of this would have happened. But because they're like, okay, well, there's plenty from where that came from. You know what I'm saying? There's plenty of coin from where that came from. So they wanted that, and that's how it all spread and got bigger and bigger.
So that's good. Let's examine that one. All right. So Anthony, when you say the real villain is the love of money, did you have any? Can you point out any specifics outside of what Polonius said?
Is he still with us?
Is he frozen? I think he's frozen.
Okay.
So
all money ain't good money.
That's true. Now, if you think about it, going all the way to the beginning, okay, the money with the vampire, the money with Smoke and Stack stealing from money
Chicago mob. Yep.
The money for the juke joint. The money for getting the people come in from we call it from the cotton fields.
Right.
The money from the girl Mary going out there. Mm-hmm. So Remick just kind of pointed all that out. He said, I got this.
Right.
It brought everything out. Now at the end, it wasn't about money.
Right.
So I guess that's the defeat of the villain.
Right.
Well, then again, like going back to what you said, there was nobody left.
Yeah, it wasn't anybody left. There were no villains left. Well, I guess, Stack and Mary were left. Okay. But they were long gone by then.
So, all right. So the villains could be, it's not just one person.
It's not just one person.
It's a concept.
The
love of money, the Klan, they were definitely villains.
Well, the isms. I'm going to say the isms.
Okay, racism.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll say the isms.
Okay. And okay, so that means that indicts the whole system then, the whole Jim Crow.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
So
it was part of the Depression too. It was in the Depression area.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
And sharecropping was like the only main source of income.
Right. And they probably weren't, they were paying them pennies. I'm absolutely sure of it.
Yeah. So at the end of everything, was it hopeful or more or less a punishment? Now going back to what Anthony brought up about the casting the reflection in the mirror.
Right.
But here's one thing I now I'm starting to second guess. When Stack smelled him, he
said you don't have long for this world.
Right. And he said, I can make you live longer. Mm-hmm. So maybe he wasn't a vampire, but then maybe could he have not casted the reflection because it wasn't the proper angle?
I don't know. I don't know.
So
I don't know because he clearly said when it's my time, it's my time. Like he's like I don't want to see this world no more.
Yeah, he did say that. Mm-hmm. You're right.
But the bartender was like, I'm getting the F up out of here. I was trying not to bust out laughing, but he looked at Mary and was like, pew, he was gone. It's like,
which is funny because we tease how like when you see these little scenarios and you like it's always the white person that sees a tiger. Oh, hey kitty, let me go pet the cat.
True.
So
yeah, he was not playing. He was.
And how about the other guy that unfortunately got caught up in?
Oh, you're talking about the piano player?
No, the guy that was maybe drunk or whatever on the floor, and then they thought
yeah.
Talking about the wrong place at the right time.
Wrong place, wrong time. All of those. Wrong place, wrong time. Because they hadn't turned him yet.
Yeah,
right.
He was.
We ain't letting nobody in here. Okay, and I probably would have did that same thing. Like, sorry, love you, bro. But.
Okay, so we picked up everybody's sins, right? If you had to justify, just give me one. If you had to justify anybody's sin in there, who would it be?
Smoke.
Okay. Why you say Smoke?
Because he killed all of them.
He killed.
He called it Klan.
He got justice. Mm-hmm. Okay.
If I had to pick one, that would be his. Yeah.
Thelonious?
I agree.
Smoke? Mm-hmm. Okay. For the same reason? Okay. Anthony?
Smoke. Self-defense.
Okay. Self-defense. Okay. Pastor Dirty?
Well, now, wait a minute. What is the question again? Like, break this question down to me.
All right, so
who was the villain, or
yeah? So
who sinned was what you were asking.
Yeah,
right?
so we identified like several villains in this whole thing, right? So
yeah,
which one of those characters' sin would you say is justifiable?
Well, now. If you want my opinion again, I'm going to give it. The only person's sin I believe was justifiable was the white girls.
The white girl?
Wow.
The white girl. And because you can't blame a white girl for being white, that's just what they do.
Okay.
So it was justifiable. I believe everyone else, still had the option to do, right and or wrong. But she's just being herself. So, yeah.
Okay.
It's okay. It's okay. You can't blame a dog for being a dog no more than that.
Okay.
So I think it was okay for her to just be that little nosy person. She felt like she was the go-between, even though she was mixed, right? She wasn't 100%. Yeah, but she used her whiteism, the isms again. She used her whiteism to try to do something that ended up being totally wrong. because that's what white people do. So
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but if you
I mean, in
listen
my
to
opinion-
black women, one day y'all gonna get it.
Okay, so-
listen to black
Wait a minute.
women.
We're gonna talk about that theme. So, right. So,
Could I say something real quick on
yes.
that? This is the other Anthony. On that, I think what it was is her love for what was it, Smoke?
Stack.
Stack.
Who's
No, her
Stack?
love for which one? Which
Stack, because I always
whose
I'm
love?
not good.
Mary.
Mary's love
Mary,
for
Mary.
Okay.
First of all,
Okay.
Mary was not black. I mean white. She was passable. There's
Okay.
a difference.
Okay.
She was
She was a
black
quarter.
and
She was a quarter
she
black.
identified as black. That's why she didn't have any problem with Stack.
Okay.
But I just want to say it was like because she was still in love with Stack and she wants the best for Stack. That's what led her outside because she knew she wanted their Jew joint to be a success.
Okay.
She wanted to be a success. So
I think the
that's why-
opposite.
You think it's the opposite?
I think it's the opposite. I think she was angry at him. I absolutely think she was angry at him.
She was no. Oh, she had to be loved. She loved him.
Yeah.
Yes, she was angry because she waited for him. If you waiting for someone and they never showed up, you will be mad. You will be pissed off.
Right. And
So
sometimes
that's I understand, but that doesn't mean she didn't love him.
I'm not saying that she didn't love him. I'm saying that sometimes as a woman, in your anger, you do dumb shit.
Oh yeah, we talked about that before too.
Period.
Why you saying
women.
that
I don't think that's just women. I just think when you angry, you do dumb stuff.
Right, but
let's
I also feel like she knew her power. She
knew because since she could pass for white, she knew that she could get more information. They would be more comfortable talking to her than to the rest of them. So yes.
Yeah.
She understood that she could pass for white she could pass in a white world, even though to herself she might felt like that.
So was she white? Was she black? Was she mixed?
Where
in the movie do they exactly tell you?
No,
They say
She identified as black, and from my understanding, she identified as black, but she knew she could pass for white.
Yeah, it was her father's father.
her great grandfather was black.
Yeah, so and according to those times, you only had to have a drop.
Right.
So
yeah,
that's a factor
right,
as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So
those times it's still the case.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
He ain't never lied.
Listen, I got some cousins that you look at them and you see they look like a bunch of white people, but they identify as black.
Did you just have dinner with my family? So, yeah.
All right. So, I'm gonna say
I don't think you have enough time in this show.
You know,
Brian.
I know.
Because everyone has an opinion.
Right.
So what I just ask about the
what villain sin was redeemable?
Okay, so I'm gonna move on from that. Here's the thing. Now in that movie, this is what I picked out of it. So I don't know. We have 3 black males here too, and 2 black females. At any point in your life, were you told by your parents or grandparents or whatever that said, leave the white women alone because they bring nothing but trouble?
Oh, you talking to me?
Yeah, any of you.
Absolutely.
Right.
Oh, they told you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm
I
not
was told
white. I know you think I am, but I'm not.
I was
I
told
don't
that.
think I was ever told that, but I think like history kind of teaches like today marks I'm not sure how many years it's been, but today is the anniversary of the Tulsa race riot. You know what I mean? And I think that began from an elevator ride.
Yes.
With a white woman. So I think history showed me leave them white women or leave white people alone in general. You know that what's the old boy name in Mississippi who went to Mississippi?
Emmett Till.
Emmett Till. I think that's just history. Rosewood in Florida, like all of these events stem from messing with white people, which I think also was the reason why. Was it Smoke? It's not Smoke. Which one was the one that messed with Mary?
Stack.
Okay. Kind of the reason why everyone's like, you better leave that woman alone.
Absolutely.
But, so anyway, getting back to what you were saying as far as if my parents or my mother, she never said it, but I think history, and we knew enough history and we learned enough that it kind of went without saying.
Okay, now go back to 1932, Mississippi. You know, everybody would have been told that. Even when they said why they didn't want to invite them in, right?
Right.
Yeah.
They said, well, what'll happen if somebody brushes up against them or steps on their shoes or whatever, right? It's gonna be problems. So the problem started when, guess who came in? Okay, even though she had a drop, still, and who represented the antagonist of the movie was who? The white vampire.
Right.
Now was he just a victim? I mean, a villain, or was he also a victim?
Well, he was a vampire, so somebody turned him.
Okay.
Right.
So
remember, he said they came in and took.
And took my land. They came and killed my family.
Right.
So somebody turned him. So another vampire turned him. So at some point in his life, yes, he was a victim.
He was a victim, and now he's just like, as Pastor Dirty said, vampires are just doing what
vampires do.
Right? You can't blame a vampire for
being a vampire.
Okay,
gotcha.
Just want to see that little perspective there.
Wait a minute, but I had something to say about the vampire. I mean, the vampire. Because he said what drew him to it was Sammy's music.
Yes.
Right.
Because he knew that music was, again, in touch with the ancestors or whatever they said in the beginning.
Yes.
So it was like the music. I was like, that drew him there. Otherwise, he would have walked right on past if he never heard Sammy sing.
Right. So, yeah.
So now you saying Sammy's the villain?
No, it's not. No, I ain't say Sammy's the villain. I was just saying, like, that's what drew him there. It was like that was. Let me see. I forgot what term they use. I mean, not use, but I forgot what movie term it is. But that's what drew him there was the music.
So could Sammy have been the villain because he was warned by his father that says, "Keep dancing with the devil. You're going to invite him home."
I'm
and he still did it anyway.
To answer that question, who y'all say is the hero though? The protagonist.
Ooh,
that's a good question.
That is a good question.
So I'm gonna say the protagonist in that would probably have to be Smoke.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
Smoke?
Why was he the protagonist? Why was he the hero of the story?
Because he got what some people will consider justice at the end for the people that caused all this. He's basically saved Sammy. And he actually saved his brother as well.
Right.
If you want to call that, whatever. But he eliminated that evil element of
for the time being,
the racists for the time being. Yes.
And the slaughterhouse burned down, so he knew that they weren't going to repeat that pattern.
Right.
They're dead. There's no more slaughterhouse. They're not going to repeat that pattern. At least not this group of men.
Right.
He
also saved the voodoo woman from
being a vampire.
Yeah.
But she died.
Yeah,
he killed her.
He killed her because that's what she
wanted.
That was
the agreement.
She didn't want to be stuck. Her soul stuck, as she called it.
Right.
So yeah, I would say that would be him. Now the other side of it, I think it could also have been. I don't want to say it. I think it could have been Remick.
I knew that's what you're gonna say.
Because Remick was trying to basically eliminate all the societal ills.
Because you like vampires.
Only when they're sexy.
Okay, I'm a vampire fan, and I hear what you're saying. I'm not sure I'm going to agree. No. Well, so I'll leave it at that.
But you look at it this way, like, all right, so he wasn't racist.
Nobody cares.
You know what I'm saying? He wasn't racist. That was big back then.
What vampire is racist? They
well, what I'm saying, but you got
they
were care.
The Irish was disenfranchised like we are.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. So that's what the similarity
it has nothing to do with
between black and Irish.
But if you look at what he was trying to do,
I don't think vampires pick.
They did no. Listen, hear me out. If you look at what he was trying to do, right? He was saying, "I'm going to get that bigot over there," right? He got the first one. That was his nephew, the Klansman's nephew.
Okay,
whatever. So he was bringing everybody out. So wanted to give them
when he saw it.
Yes, he was trying to give them life and just eliminate all the biases and everybody was supposed to be happy and this and that, whatever. So he could have been a protagonist in a weird kind of way as well.
And she just so rolled her eyes. Like, I ain't buying it.
You just racist against vampires.
I would say is I could understand his point of view because the protagonist has a goal, and what he wanted to do was Sammy's music, and then it depends on how you interpret it because you could also flip that and say the antagonists were everyone that was in the juke joint because he wanted Sammy, that was his goal, and they were preventing him from getting Sammy reaching his goal. So
okay,
I guess it depends on what story arc you specifically talk about,
right?
Because it's like it's if like hearing y'all talk, it's like made me think that there are multiple story arcs going on at the same time, and it's not really clear cut and dry,
right?
Who like who's the villain and who's the hero?
Right. And isn't that how the world is today, though?
That's true. That is true.
You know,
and that was a beautiful thing about this movie because there was so much that you can actually examine in that, you know,
and compare to what's happening today.
Yeah. So did anybody have a particular character they was rooting for from start to finish?
The twins.
I did.
For me.
The twins. Filoni. She said the twins.
Both of them. Nope.
No.
The one that I was rooting for. People. No, the one I was rooting for
was Sammy.
The one I was rooting for was the drunk guy that played the piano.
Oh, okay.
I wanted him to win.
Okay, now why him?
Win because he had to sober up to help everyone out. You know, typical black man, old black man shit.
Yeah.
Okay,
and I like that. I really do like that because he recognized that there was something that needed to be done. He had to
sacrifice.
Whatever happened sobered him up really, really quickly.
Right.
And he had to start making moves. He came out of character,
okay,
in order to do what he had to do. I didn't want him. I mean, even during his demise, you know, he kind of took the risk of like sacrificing himself,
right,
so everyone else can get away. I didn't like the way he died, but I was rooting for him because I thought he was entertaining, he was fun, and you know, he just came out of character. Now, of course, I know y'all going to talk about all of the main characters and stuff like that. But I'm not a main character type of dude. I like the background people, the people who do what they have to do to get ahead. You know, not the hero like Smoke and all of them. No, get that drunk guy over there. He's on my team. I'm picking him.
Yeah,
he's on my team.
I'm with you.
And make sure you bring me a half a pint when you come over.
I know that's right. I'm with you on that one because I felt like his life was so hard that he should have got a win.
Oh, wait a minute. Somebody said cornbread.
Cornbread. I heard him say cornbread.
Cornbread. I like cornbread.
What? No, why cornbread?
I mean, he had a good heart.
He did.
Good.
He did.
I mean, he had a wife back home
and a baby.
So, you know.
Okay.
He did it, but he did what he did for his family.
That's true. That's
right.
True.
That's right. That's right.
He was being provided. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
That's true. We can't blame him.
So he's one of the ones that wasn't actually greedy then, right?
Not really.
His wife pushed him.
Yeah.
Because she was like, how much money?
Right.
The wife was just like, you better go get that money.
So she's the greedy one.
Right. Well, she's trying to survive in Depression era.
Right.
Mississippi.
They had a baby on the way.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, I missed that part.
Yeah, she was pregnant.
Okay, I didn't know. Okay. Okay. So, okay. Cornbread. Yeah. What was the other Anthony? What did he say? Anthony Morris.
Why are you putting this whole government out?
Because that's the only way I can separate
them. You can say M.
Anthony M. And is it Kenneth?
You know, and I think his screen name, well, it's not on here, but his screen name should be like Be More Writer.
Yeah, but okay. Yeah, this is my work Zoom.
Oh, I got you.
That's why. Yeah, sometimes I had to take Zoom. Meetings on the go.
Oh my gosh, that is too funny. Well, guys, thank y'all so much. This was really a lively discussion. I'm so glad y'all joined.
Thank you.
Oh, most definitely. I appreciate it.
We had somebody else join, but she didn't say anything, so it would have been like 3 girls. And she made a lot of valid points, but she was telling me, and I'm like, I don't care what you're saying. So yeah, she came on just to listen and be nosy.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I did too.
Thank you. That's right. That's right.
But then y'all said something. I was sending my message in the chat. But then y'all say something that I had to come off of mute. I forgot what it was. But then, like my mother said, once I start talking, it's hard for me to shut up. You know. But to somebody made a point earlier. I think what you were talking about was Sammy made a deal with the Crossroad Demon.
Okay.
That's what, because y'all mentioned Steve Johnson, because that's how it was. Because they was like saying when he first played, he was horrible. And then he came back like a year or two later. Then he sounds so great. And still today, they can't figure out how he was able to make it sound like it was two guitars playing at the same time on some of his music.
Oh,
yeah, they still can't figure out the technique. So because he died like, I think a year or two later, after he made his comeback.
Okay.
See, I didn't know that.
Okay. I didn't either.
We need a word of the day.
ID channel.
We say
sinners. It will be sinners.
Sinners. Okay.
He said ID channel.
No, that's where I heard the story from.
Okay.
So, one of you guys give us
sinners.
All right. So
sinners,
today's word of the day is sinners for this episode. So at the end of the month, we give a prize for anybody who gets these
all the words
or phrases, whatever. So sinners for June 1st. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming out, and please subscribe. www.hottopix, that's TOPIX podcast.com, and feel free to join us in any future episode.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Thank you, family, for listening to the latest episode of Hot Topics. As usual, listen, like, share, subscribe. Ta.